Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. If you don't happen to have a yoga mat, no worries. Find a place in your house that's carpeted, or maybe you've got a rug that you could substitute as your yoga mat today, and that'll be just fine. I just don't want you on something that's too hard or too slippery. Another couple of tools that are helpful to have are yoga blocks, and you could use thick books instead if you don't have yoga blocks. Also a folded blanket. This is just the throw blanket from my couch. You could use a big beach towel. A chair, really great prop. We're going to use it, I think, quite a bit in this practice, although your books might be what you use. And lastly, I'm barefoot, but if you're more comfortable with your shoes on, leave your shoes on. And let's start in the bedrock of all pose, our mountain pose, with your feet hip distance and parallel. Turn your palms away from one another and let that happen at your shoulder joint, where you can find an uplift of your heart. Gaze at what I like to call our bright horizon. And let's take a moment, a beat, to land, to stop, so that we can start. Bring your awareness to your breath. If it's doable, breathe in and out through your nose. Mostly I want you to breathe and breathe with awareness, so any way that you can do that. Fill your lungs and find a pause when you're full at the top. Empty your lungs and find a pause at the bottom when you're empty. 3 silent moments with just our stop, our breath, our inward turn. And we'll add some movement. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, just float your arms along your sides, palms face out. Again, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, float your arms along your side, palms face out. Adding on. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart, traction your hands on your thighs. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then float your arms along your side, palms face out. Again, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then exhale, hands to your thighs as you hinge at your hips. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, and then float your arms along your sides. Chair pose, bend your knees, thumbs to the sky, V shape, like we're sitting in a little chair, and then stand and float your arms along your sides. Let the inhale be our chair, thumbs to the sky, and then exhale, stand and float your arms along your sides. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, stand. We add our chair to our sun salutation. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, but always keep your head higher than your hips. And then back to chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Pause, arms along your side. Again, chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Inhale, exhale, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips. And then chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Stand it up. Float your arms along your sides. One more time, just like that. Chair pose. And exhale, fold hands to thighs. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then chair pose. Let's stay here and breathe. See if you can see the bright horizon even as the intensity grows a little bit in our legs, in our spine. We're not shrugging our shoulders into our ears, so you can feel the thumbs to the sky and maybe a little wider V if it feels as though you're crowding shoulders and ears, and then stand, palms face out. Feel all the feels here in our mountain pose. We'll arrange our props. We'll do so mindfully. Not just the movement of our bodies, but the movement of our props is part of the practice. Take your two books or blocks and set them off the long sides of your mat so they don't exist underfoot where we might trip on them, and then situate your chair so that the seat is right out in front of us. As we progress in this sequence, it's likely that this chair seat is going to seem like a very good thing to have on hand. Let's do our sun salutation with our chair. So inhale, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart, and then either hands to the seat of your chair or hands on your blocks, which will bring it a little bit closer. Step your left foot back and land on the ball of your back foot. Let's feel into our lunge. Right thigh, front thigh parallel to the ground-ish. We're getting there, right? We'll steer our right hip back and our left hip forward, and we keep length in our spine and, of course, our head higher than our hips. Stay for a few moments here. You might design a lightness in your hands just to play with stability. That means the strength of our foundation. Of course, if that doesn't feel like the right move, you're the expert and I'm the guide. Do what you need to do. 2 silent moments here. Step your left foot hip distance from your right foot. Hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then it's chair pose, thumbs to the sky, and we stand floating our arms out to the side and standing in our mountain. Second side, chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hands to your thighs as we hinge at our hips. Inhale, lift your heart. Take your hands to the seat of your chair or bring your hands to the blocks that are hopefully positioned pretty well on this side. Step your right foot back and land on the ball of your right foot. Start to steer from the ground up. You're stamping your left heel, your front heel into the ground, steering your left hip back and your right hip forward, keeping length through your spine. We're holding the pose, but not holding our breath. And if you want to play with lightening your touch on your props, you can do that or not. I drop you off in 3 moments of me being quiet and us meditating in this shape. And then notice where you are. Get a bit more solid in your hands on your blocks or on your chair, and step your right foot hip distance from your left, hands to thighs. Lift your heart as you inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, and then we stand it up and pause in our mountain. Chair pose, inhale. Exhale, fold hands to thighs. Inhale, elevate your heart. Take your hands to the seat of your chair or your hands onto your blocks. Step your left foot back. Land on the ball of your foot. Find that steering, right hip back and left hip forward. You may want some bend in your back knee, upright, thumbs to the sky, our crescent pose. Maybe float the V shape, thumbs to the sky into the arms, unless it feels like you're now wearing your shoulders into your ears. In which case that wider arms out to the side might have your name on it. 3 moments here. Return your hands to your blocks or to the seat of your chair, and then step left foot hip distance from right, hands come to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, and then we stand and float our arms along our sides. Chair pose. Exhale, fold hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart, hands to your chair or hands to your blocks. Step your right foot back. Land on the ball of that back foot and get a sturdy foundation, dialing back your left hip, floating forward your right hip. Maybe a little bend in your back knee as we come upright, thumbs to the sky, and we're in our crescent lunge on side 2. If you want to float a V shape into your arms, you can. Let's take a few moments here. And then return your hands to your blocks or to the seat of your chair. Step your right foot hip distance from your left and hands come to your thighs as you inhale and lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips and then chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Stand it up. Float your arms along your sides, palms face out. Chair pose. Exhale, fold, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart forward, hands to your chair, maybe to your blocks. We'll step our left foot back. And this time, keeping your head above your hips, just straighten your front leg for a moment. Let it have a nice hamstring stretch moment, keeping your head higher than your hips. Your spine is long. 3 moments, just as we are. Bend your right knee and then step forward, left foot hip distance from right hands to thighs. Inhale, lift your heart, and exhale, increase the hinge at your hips. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, stand it up, float your arms along your side, and we head to side 2, chair pose. Exhale, hands to thighs as we fold, and inhale, uplift your heart. Hands to your chair seat, maybe to your blocks, right foot steps back. And this time, keeping our head high, we straighten the front leg, dialing back the left hip, letting the right hip float forward. If you had flashlights on your hip bones, they'd sort of be facing the front edge of your mat. A few moments here. And then we bend your left knee and step forward, right foot, hip distance from left. Inhale, heart reaches. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, stand it up. And pause in your mountain. Chair pose, we're about to get a little bit fancy, so stay with me. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands on your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. As you exhale, hands to your chair or to your block, so far pretty familiar. Step your left foot back, we're on the ball of our back foot, and then we come upright like we did just now. Here is where it's different. Drop your back heel, heel toe your right foot over to the left a little bit. Take your arms wide out to the side. And then just check in, you might need to scooch your right foot forward. So I don't want your knee to be real far forward of your ankle. We're in Warrior 2 pose. That's what I mean, pretty fancy pants. And we're not done yet being a little bit fancy pants. Now before we leave this pose, I want you to feel your right hip hug underneath you, your right thigh bone move towards the right a little bit, and then press your left thigh bone into your hamstring so we're not collapsed back there. Turn your right palm to the sky, very light touch, left hand on your left thigh. Keep your right thumb to the sky, we're just reaching up to the ceiling. It's called reverse warrior. And then press into your right big toe mound and let your front leg very slowly come to straight. Now we're not doing any big crazy back bend, we're just feeling height and length out our right fingertips. And we have 2 moments here. Now come upright, thumbs to the sky, sort of like our arms were in our warrior pose, but we're straight-legged. This is a hinge at our hips. We're coming into triangle pose, so we're not going to side bend our way into it. I want you to feel your left hip lift up. There's like a karate chop into that right hip, and then your hand can come onto your chair, and you're welcome to move it a little closer to you if it's better, or your right hand can come onto your block. But remember our deal, head higher than hips. Left thumb is to the sky. If that bothers your shoulder or neck, just weave your top arm behind your back. Arms are in a V shape or out to the side. Take your hands onto your blocks. Step your left foot hip distance from your right foot. Take your hands onto your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Chair pose, and then stand it up. So kind of a fancy little sequence. We'll do the second side, and we'll actually do this a couple of times today. Chair pose, and then exhale, fold hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart, hands to the seat of your chair or onto your blocks. Step your right foot back. Initially, we're on the ball of our back foot, and then you come upright, thumbs to the sky. Now, very carefully and mindfully, drop your back foot flat and heel toe your left foot over to the right a little bit. And then we make our way into Warrior Two. And in our Warrior Two, we're feeling right hip hugging underneath us, left thigh bone into the socket, thumbs stay towards the sky. 2 moments here. And then with our left thumb to the sky, right hand light as a feather down your back leg. Remember, no scrunching of shoulders and ears and no heavy pressing on our right hand. Then start to straighten your front leg. Pause here for a feeling of uplift from the sky. And then we'll take that uplift and length as a karate chop, hinge at our hip. Left hand comes either to the seat of your chair or onto your block. Right thumb to the sky. Remember the part of if it feels better. Top arm can weave behind your back, back of the hand to the small of your back. Pause a couple of moments here. Free your right thumb to the sky, arm to the sky. Take a look down. We slowly come upright, thumbs to the sky in our Warrior Two. And then with your arms out to the side and maybe a little up to the sky, spin on your back toes and face that front edge of your mat. Return your hands to your blocks or to the seat of your chair. Step right foot hip distance from left. Make any adjustments that you need to. Hands on your thighs. Lift your heart as you inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips, and then chair pose. Stand, arms along your side, palms face out. We'll do that again. We'll flow through it, and we will add potentially one more new friend. Ready? Chair pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, heart forward. Hands to the seat of your chair or hands onto your block. Step your left foot back. We're on the ball of our back foot. Come upright into your crescent shape. Carefully drop your back heel and make it Warrior Two. Keep reaching, but take that right thumb to the sky and left hand so light on your back leg, and then slow motion, straighten your front leg. Reach forward and hinge at your hip. Your right hand goes on the seat of your chair or onto your block with your left thumb to the sky. Almost all of us will stay right here. It might be that one or two of us look at that chair, take our right hand onto the chair, and just float that left leg back behind you for a moment. Make sure you know where you are. Step your left foot back down into triangle where we meet our friends who stayed put here. Come up into Warrior Two, thumbs to the sky. Carefully spin on your back toes, face the front edge of your mat, use the seat of your chair or your hands on your blocks, and step your left foot hip distance from your right, hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart, and exhale, hinge at your hips. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky, stand, and pause. Second side, chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hands to your thighs. Inhale, elevate your heart, take your hands to your chair seat or to your block. Step your right foot back. We land on the ball of our back foot. With our belly firm, we come upright into crescent. Gently, carefully drop your back heel. Maybe you inch your right foot or your left foot over to the right a little bit. We're in Warrior Two briefly, and then light as a feather with your right hand on your back leg, left thumb to the sky. Slowly straighten your left leg. And then hinge at your hip. Remember, not a side bend. Left hand on your block, right thumb to the sky. You can always weave that hand, and feel free to stay here. Or take a look at your seat of your chair. Left hand onto the seat of your chair. You could play around with lifting your right leg just briefly. You're still hugging that left hip underneath you like an anchor. Make sure you know where you are in space as you step back to your triangle. And then all of us come upright, warrior two. Spin on your back toes, gently turn your chest and hips forward. Hands come to your blocks or to the seat of your chair, and you will step your right foot hip distance from your left, hands to thighs as you inhale and lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips, chair pose. Stand, you did it. That was a lot. Let's let that absorb. 3 moments. Chair pose. Exhale, fold hands to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Take your hands on the base of your chair or onto your blocks so that we can use that as an assist to come to the floor. And then move your props out of the way. I'll move my chair so I know you've got a good view of me. And I am going to use my folded blanket underneath my knees because we're coming to hands and knees. I'm also just going to take a stance that's not on my mat so that I know that you can see me well enough. We will take our hands shoulder distance on your mat or on your rug, and you're right underneath, so wrists underneath shoulders. Then line up, right hand, right knee and shin, right foot, and then left foot on its side, left hand on your hip. It's fine with me if you take this hand a little further forward. Sometimes for some people it helps with balance. This is a lot. We're hugging our left hip underneath us. It's a little bit like that warrior two pose. You could play around with lifting your left leg and maybe left thumb to the sky. If you look down, that can be very helpful when it comes to balance. And I find that these poses require a very healthy sense of humor. Now bring your left hand onto your hip and your left foot onto the ground. Back to hands and knees, and it might behoove us to come kneeling and put the backs of our hands together so that we're not feeling like there's too much time in what's called wrist extension. I'm going to change directions again because I want to make sure that I'm easily seen. And then shoulders over wrists for all of us. It's now left hand, left knee and shin, left toes, which I have curled under, you don't have to. Right foot flat, right hand on your hip. And you could stay here the whole time. So this can be wobbly and plenty. If you would like, lift your right leg and maybe lift your right arm, thumb to the sky. Let it be playful. If it's sort of wobbly and you fall over, you've struck gold. The wobble is the win. 2 more moments here. And then, I'm pretty wobbly. Bring your right foot down, your right hand down. We're on hands and knees, and we will sit on our folded blanket probably. You don't have to, but my recommendation is to elevate your hips a little bit for this next thing. And then once we sit down, take your legs out in front of you. Bend your right knee, so having blocks or books nearby also sort of helpful, have that within reach. Once you sit down, bend your right knee, and instead of putting our right foot in our inner thigh, as we often do in this pose, I'm going to say take a wider stance. So now your right foot is not really connected to your left inner thigh. And it might be a nice idea to put the block underneath your right thigh. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Turn towards your right thigh. Take your left back of the hand to the outside of your thigh and your right hand behind you, and we enjoy a little twist here. Every inhale grows you tall, and every exhale is a careful nudge into your twist. Now just unwind a tiny bit, but keep the back of your left hand on that right thigh and take left thumb to the sky and just a little careful lean towards your left leg. So you've got your right thumb to the sky, you have your left back of the hand against your right thigh, and we just take a little reach for a second. And then come upright, arms out to the side, Carefully stamp your right foot down, extend your right leg out. You can shift your block if it's helpful. We'll place our left foot, it starts in the inner thigh, and then we move it wider. So for today, we're taking a wider stance than we usually do. Feel free to adjust yourself on your props like I just did for myself. Maybe block under the left thigh, and then back of your right hand to the outside of your left thigh. There's a little oomph as you flex those right toes towards you. Left hand behind you. You could even use one of your books there. And then inhale, grow tall, and it's just a gentle nudge into our twist. 2 moments. Keep the back of your right hand on the outside of that thigh, left thumb to the sky, and we lean a little towards our right leg. And we pause here. All of this is easy, gentle, thoughtful. And then bring yourself upright, unwind. Remember, we help it along, so take your left thigh bone, uplift and help. Extend your left leg out in front of you. We'll take the blocks off to the side. Just curl your toes back towards you and sit tall as if in our mountain pose, but seated. We're not even worrying about a forward fold at all. 2 quiet moments here. Now blink your eyes open if you close them. Here are your options. You can stay here seated in a cross-legged position and take an ending meditation. You might even do that seated in your chair. Or if you prefer, lie down on your back as we often do in your Shavasana final meditation. But I want you to take agency in your own practice and think, what would make the porridge just right as the place to end this practice where we did some very different things? What's the perfect rest and digest? I'll be silent for a full minute. And if you're lying on your back, wiggle your fingers and toes and gently and carefully draw your knees into your chest. Roll to either side. And slowly make your way up to this comfortable seat that some of us have chosen as our way to end the practice. And we will complete our practice together here. Just take a moment of gratitude. Grateful that we are able to do this, that it leaves us feeling so refreshed, so renewed. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again together soon.